Hey guys, Prowl1701 here, and today we're going to talk about Season 1 of Doctor Who thus far, now that we are 2 episodes in, and I am enjoying it for the most part. I wasn't the biggest fan of Space Babies from a narrative standpoint. I thought the story was kind of rubbish, but it was executed well on screen, it was directed well, I liked the set design, I loved the performances. I very much, thus far, really like the 15th Doctor. I wasn't sure about him in The Church on Ruby Road. I didn't dislike him, but I was just, first story, you're kind of getting used to a Doctor, figuring out what makes them tick. And I really wasn't sold on Ruby in that story either. She was just kind of, To me, I needed more time with them. Now, having gotten more time with them, I like them both. I really like the 5th Doctor's reactions to things. He doesn't get that mopey, sad Tennant or Matt Smith when they're sad and they're thinking about the Time War and la 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 la. I like his reaction when she asked him about Gallifrey and he's like, it's gone! Gone, they died, they all died. He doesn't get sad. He handles it in a different way. I love his emotional reactions being different. Like when he talks about Susan and when he talks about the past and the Time War. Because he's an alien. He responds to things different than a human might. And I don't think most doctors do that. Tom Baker was really good at that. Tom Baker's Doctor was very alien. He didn't respond to things in a typical human manner because he's not human. And here I am comparing Ncuti Gatwa to Tom Baker. High praise indeed, because I love Tom Baker. He's my favorite Doctor. So I'm liking the fact that the 15th Doctor reacts to things differently. He seems more upbeat. He seems more energetic he's full of positivity, if that makes sense. I'm kind of sick of the Time War scarred Doctors. It's old hat at this point. Even Capaldi at times came across as, I don't know the exact word I'm looking for. Not necessarily, not sad, but very not happy. He was a much more serious Doctor, whereas Ncuti Gatwa comes across as serious at times, but he's out having fun. He kind of reminds me of Troughton in a way. Again, high praise. I love Troughton. As a guy who just wants to go see the universe and have a good time and explore. Like John Pertwee said, I just want to see it. I'm really liking that. I think Ncuti is putting in a very good performance. I mean, he's obviously a good actor. I've heard good things about him. I don't agree with all of the things he as an actor says in the press, but his performances have been very good. I like Millie so far. I like Ruby. I love the scene when she goes hunting down the boogeyman. Boogeyman! Banging on the pipe. I love that. I love that. She seems like she can handle herself very well. She has a little bit of Clara in her, but not, I don't mean that in a detrimental way. She's like Clara dialed back a bit. Like the bit when he tries to send her off in Space Babies. She's like, you're trying to get me to leave. And she goes walking the direction he's going to go. I love that. I love the fact that she is, got her own individuality. I do like that. She strikes me as a very strong personality without being annoying like Clara could be at times. So Clara, but dialed back, and I'm liking that a lot. And then their interactions together are phenomenal. The way Ncuti and Millie bounce off each other is so good. It's so good. They just fit together like pieces of a puzzle. It is so nice watching them on screen together. And then their characters just have a good dynamic. And I love the fact there's no romance stuff between them. They just strike me as good buddies. A lot like how the 10th Doctor and Donna can bounce off each other well. They complement each other well. I get that here too, in a different way, but I get that with them too. They are a great TARDIS team thus far, going by what we've seen, especially in Season 1. Now, I didn't care for Space Babies as a story, but much like other stories, the God Complex being the example I tend to go to, I thought it was executed really well despite not liking the story. And I know a couple of people when I reviewed Space Babies tried to tell me that God Complex had a good story and makes sense. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No. Its story makes no sense. No sense whatsoever. So, it replaces your beliefs when beliefs in itself, so you suddenly want it to kill you. It's some of the dumbest piece of writing I've ever heard. And the ending is ripped off straight from The Curse of Fenric, which is a much superior story. The God Complex is an absolute crap script. but it's executed well on screen. That's why when I was ranking modern Doctor Who, God Complex ranked higher than most people thought I would probably rank it, because it's directed very well. Space Babies is kind of like that. I think the story is rubbish. But I love the execution of it, the performances, the set design, the music. The incidental music in Space Babies was really, really good. I like that. Same thing with Devil's Cord. Well, not same thing with Devil's Cord. I actually like the Devil's Cord. I thought Jinx Monsoon was putting in a great performance. I know some people might call it over the top, hammy, campy, but I love that kind of thing. You have to remember, I love Soldeed. My dreams of conquest. I love that. I love Paul Darrow's Tekker in Time Lash, where he's basically playing Richard III, playing Tekker. I love that kind of stuff. I live for campy Doctor Who. Not all the time. I mean, I love Pyramids of Mars. And I love City of Death. City of Death's my favorite story, but it has camp elements in it. My favorite scene in all of Doctor Who is in City of Death, when the Countess is interrogating the Doctor. Who sent you, Doctor? Who sent me what? It's a bit of a camp scene, but I love it because Tom Baker sells it. And as long as the actors are selling it, I love it. I love the guy playing Soldeed. I love Paul Darrow as Tekker, and I love Jinx Monsoon as, I forget the character's name right off the top of my head. But I like her in the role. Maestro. I like her as Maestro. She's fun. And putting in a good performance, doing exactly what I feel like the script needs her to do. Very, very well. It's a creepy villain. She does have these moments where she's going from camp with this undertone of horror, of this undertone of can do whatever they want to you. I like that. I love the scene with the Sonic, when he makes everything go quiet with the Sonic. It's nice to see the Sonic used like that. That's a great scene. And the actual silence of the episode, which is filled with a lot of music, the silence there, it's almost like you can hear it, if that makes sense. It's like you can hear the silence. It sounds weird there being no noise in the background, no incidental music, nothing. It's a bit off in a good way. I like it. I like how even Maestro's like, before completely stopping the Doctor. I liked JLBWHO when he's playing the Doctor kind of lost and confused and not sure how to win and figuring it out and actually being afraid. This is down, I think, to the script writing and JLBWHO's performance. That he's on the back foot, and I'm all for how it's done. One of my biggest complaints about Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, about the 13th Doctor, is she's constantly on the back foot. She doesn't command a room like other Doctors do. It's one of my biggest problems with her, and maybe that's just Whittaker not selling me on it. Whereas here, JLBWHO is on the back foot. He's lost. He doesn't know what to do at points. But I'm buying it. I'm there. I get it. Because he's facing such a powerful entity. You know, one of the Toymaker's legions that he just doesn't know how to fight it. And I love that. And that performance sells me on that. I like the location work. Again, the incidental music here is good. Now, I don't really care for the Beatles actors. They don't look anything like the Beatles. I think in another video, someone mentioned it was like the Beatles if you took all the masculinity out of them. And now that I've heard that, I can't unsee that. Because they look nothing like the Beatles. I would imagine a lot of people found the Beatles to be very attractive, whereas the way the actors stand in here dressed up is they're just kind of plain gems, so to speak. And I wonder if that was done on purpose. But I love the fact that John Lennon and Paul McCartney are the ones who sold the note at the end. That's pretty neat. I love seeing June in it. I love the fact they snuck June in it. Yes, the old lady who was playing the piano at one point is from Classic Who. She was one of the costume designers for Classic Who. I believe she even designed Tom Baker's season 18 outfit, his burgundy outfit. So I love that they snuck her in there. That's awesome. She's been in some of the collection box sets on Behind the Sofa. So I'm so happy to see June in. But I've enjoyed both stories. The Church on Ruby Road I thought was okay. It wasn't blowing me out of the water, but it was fine. So I guess looking at it story-wise, I don't think the stories are necessarily hitting, but I've enjoyed the performances. I've enjoyed the execution of the stories. I find I am enjoying the 15th Doctor era more than I did the 14th Doctor era. And I didn't dislike any of those stories. Star Beast is fine. The Big Finish version is better. Mainly just because it's longer and has more time to give you backstory and fill things out. The Giggles, fine. Definitely has some good moments. And I actually really liked Wild Blue Yonder a lot. But there's just something about the tone of the 15th Doctor's era. I like the kind of more fantasy approach. I feel like letting in the toy maker with the salt might have opened the doors to this kind of fantasy approach we're getting. I'm liking it. It seems to have a lighter, more positivity to it than the 14th Doctor era did, the specials. I'm liking that. I'm curious to see what's next with Stephen Moffat doing another story. And I tend to love Stephen Moffat when he doesn't have the weight of Doctor Who on his shoulders, when he's just writing one story a season. He's phenomenal. Phenomenal. I don't think he's ever had a miss, really. So I'm curious to see what Boom is going to be like. But, you know, I'm enjoying this. And I like the fact I'm enjoying Doctor Who. Even if the stories like Space Babies I don't think are great. It's not something I'm going to go back to anytime soon. It's a little silly and rubbish. But I like the fact that I'm happy with it. Why would I want to be unhappy? Why would I want to hate the new era? Why would I want that? I don't understand some of these people on YouTube who just seem pleased that it's bad. It's hard to separate some of the people on YouTube from people who genuinely are just disappointed the show is not good and want the show to be good, but it's just not their cup of tea. It's hard to separate that from the people who honestly just seem happy it's rubbish. Like, well, it proved me right. It's rubbish. It's really hard to separate that sometimes. But I'm not going to be disingenuous with you guys. I'm not going to be fake with you. I'm not going to pretend to dislike something simply because I'm a classic Who fan. Most of you know I prefer classic Doctor Who. But just because I like classic Doctor Who more doesn't mean I have to hate new Doctor Who. Anything post-Capaldi, I have to hate it. I tend to like several stories from the Whittaker era. I dislike several stories from the Whittaker era, and I've never been sold on her Doctor. But I like several stories from her era. Series 12 has some strong ones, like the Tesla episode, and Demons of the Punjab from Series 11. Great stories, great episodes. So it just seems odd that because I'm a classic Who fan, I must hate everything post-Capaldi. That's silly. That's utterly silly. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and be like, yeah, Space Babies and the Devil's Courts ruined Doctor Who. Oh, no. Why would I do that if I genuinely, at least to some degree, liked them? Again, Space Babies stories, rubbish. Execution's good. And Devil's Court, I just liked. It's not perfect, but it has that very Horns of Nimon approach to me. Or Time Lash approach to me, where it's campy. I like Doctor Who and it's campy. I love season 17 of Doctor Who, which was script edited by Douglas Adams. And Douglas Adams was a comedic genius. If you're not aware, he also wrote The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy novels and radio, plays, whatever they wanted to call it, the radio shows. And aside from Mostly Harmless, which I'm not a fan of, I love the first 4 Hitchhiker's Guide novels. I think, actually, after he died, someone else wrote a 6th book. I never got to read that. So somebody send me that. I would love to get that book if somebody wants to send me that. Like something that kind of finishes up the story, since Mostly Harmless ended on a cliffhanger. I would love somebody to send me that. But I love the first 4 novels. I love that kind of humor. I love season 17. And I really like The Horns of Nimon. It's in my top 50 classic Doctor Who stories because it hasn't gotten on my list yet when I'm ranking classic Doctor Who. Does it objectively deserve to be there? Probably not, but I love it. I like Destiny of the Daleks. It has a fun rewatchability, even with its campy nature. Time Lash is the same way, and Devil's Court is like that. And I actually think the story in it's fine. Objectively fine. I like the story in it. But the camp. I love the camp. I love everything. I won't say everything, but I love a lot of the stuff going on in it. It's fun. It's fun. The music, the dance music number comes out of nowhere, but you know what? It's just kind of, the whole episode's kind of bonkers, so why not? I'm just like, okay. They're stepping on the Abbey Road lines and they're lighting up, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm there. I'm totally there for that. Didn't bother me at all. Made me think of a scene from the movie Big. I love the movie Big. So I'm like, yes, why not? So if I'm enjoying it, why would I be upset about that? It would make no sense. I liked it. I'm looking forward to seeing what's next. I'm enjoying season 15 overall, or season 15. I'm enjoying season 1 overall more than I did the 60th anniversary specials. So why not? So that's my thoughts on everything, really, so far with Season 1. I want to know what you think of it and why. So comment down below and let's talk about it. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button as well. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me on that. There's a link to that down there. My full unedited reactions to Space Babies and The Devil's Cord are available on my Patreon if you would like to see those. They're at the $5 tier and up, which is my second from the lowest tier. I have a $2 tier and then a $5 tier. So that's available for anyone who wants to do that, plus support, you know, a really good YouTuber, I like to think. I do want to give a shout out to a couple of my top tier patrons, Colin Coney and Finn Perkins. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. It's very much appreciated, each and every one of you. Some of you have been with me on the channel for a long time. It's very appreciated. I also have a P.O. box. If there's anything you'd like to send me to look at and review, that other Hitchhiker's Guide book would be great. Like the 6th one that somebody else wrote. I would love that. I also have a link to my Amazon wishlist and my Amazon UK wishlist as well, if anyone wants to check that out. And most importantly, thank you for watching.